The pads are still popping as we wrap up day 3 here in Oxnard for the Dallas Cowboys training camp. Welcome into Inside Cowboys training camp presented by Ford. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Nick Harris. Now, Nick, one of the biggest storylines, right, was that starting center position, and that's why the Cowboys drafted Cooper Beebe, right? But Brock Hoffman, after week 1, has really started to let things be known that he's not going down easy for this battle. What are your thoughts so far on Brock Hoffman?
Yeah, he's not going to give that job up easy. We talked about it with Mike Solari around draft time about Brock Hoffman and the intention and purpose that he's been putting forward during the offseason. I mean, he's one of the guys that was in the building every single day. We saw him during the offseason getting weight room workouts, working across the street with Duke Manyweather, getting technique down, working with Zach Martin. It is very clear how much intention and purpose Brock Hoffman has taken into the offseason. And yes, he's still helping bring Cooper Beebe along. You see him working one-on-one with Cooper Beebe still, even though that's his competition at the end of the day. But you have to love what you see from Hoffman. He's been able to translate that onto the field whenever the pads have come on. That strength that has clearly taken another step forward. That weight room work has really helped him come along. I think Brock Hoffman, for me right now, is a solidified guy at that top of that center competition for sure.
Do you feel like the arm length is giving Brock Hoffman more of an advantage? Because when you look at Cooper Beebe, I believe he's a 31 inches as far as his arm length. Do you think that that's kind of maybe a factor in this whole battle?
Yeah, it definitely could be, because you use your advantages to your advantage, and that is certainly one that Brock Hoffman has. You saw that length on display on one play yesterday where he was able to seal off Mozzie Smith in the run game. Him and Tyler Smith were able to combine for a really big hole that they created on the left side of the offensive line for Rico Dowdle to run right in between and untouched for about a 10-yard gain. So you see that advantage in the reach, being able to get around and get his arms on some guys. You definitely see that on the field so far.
Brock Hoffman being a solid anchor so far for this offensive line, and it's creating opportunities for this passing game to really excel, right? And you're seeing that Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson connection. You got to love to see that as well. What's your thoughts on Jake Ferguson as we wrap up day 3 in pads?
Yeah, it's funny because this time last year we were like, okay, we need to find an established tight end one, and that happened really quick. It felt like this time last year we were like, okay, Jake Ferguson's going to be that guy. And now the question with Jake Ferguson is, can he be an all-pro tight end, and can he excel to that level? You know, there was a list that came out of top 10 tight ends, and he wasn't on that list. I think he's going to be a unanimous choice to be on that list by the end of the year. I just feel like his connection with Dak Prescott, Dak has done such a good job in getting tight ends involved throughout his career. Jake Ferguson has taken that intention forward as well. You see him in the receiving game. You saw the improvements he had in the run game as well, being able to block and get after it at the point of attack. That'll really help a guy like Tyler Guyton out on the left side too. But Jake Ferguson, yes, he's taken that step forward here at camp. Going into year 3, that's going to be really big for him.
Jake Ferg being Fergalicious through training camp so far. Absolutely. Looking to have a big year in 2024. Another guy looking to have a big year in 2024 is Trayvon Diggs, 7 up, and I'm not talking the soda at all. We're talking Trayvon Diggs coming up next.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Trayvon Diggs is off the PUP list and slowly being worked back into drills and back on the field to participate in drills. But one thing that he's really working on, right, is his knowledge of the game. He was asked about his meetings with Mike Zimmer and how it's helping him in his growth this offseason.
It's been helpful. You know, one day he just randomly saw me and was like, come on, come to the meeting with me. I was like, all right. So I went in there, and, you know, I'm learning a lot, and I learned the playbook fast just by going in there. So that's one of the things, you know, him being there and being helpful towards, you know, my career, me being helpful towards his career, you know, it pays off.
Can learning it through his eyes maybe help you as a defensive back, just understanding what he's looking for?
Yeah, 100%. I'm learning the blitz packages and how the blitzes can, you know, affect the throws and, you know, where the ball is trying to go to. So it's going to help me out a lot. You know, I'm excited that I walked into that meeting room. I learned a few new tricks.
Trayvon, there was a list that recently came out, and you probably trying
to
pay
attention.
You know what I said.
What did it say? What did it say?
It said that you aren't one of the top 10 cornerbacks in the league. Does that motivate you, and how eager are you to prove that you are again?
I feel like I'm in a league of my own. There's nobody that can do what I do. There's nobody that can do what Bland does. I feel like we're in a league of our own, and that's that. We don't care about no list. Our work gonna show on the field. You can pull up another DB on that list that did anything that we did. Show me.
You and Stephon didn't get that opportunity last year. Have y'all talked about just kind of like by happenstance, it's on the schedule again this year?
One more time?
You and Stephon didn't get that opportunity to line up against each other last year, but just by happenstance, that game's on the schedule this year too. So have y'all talked about that at all?
Of course. Yeah, of course. It's going to be a fun one. They got a great team. We got a better team, so it'll be fun.
Jordan called you a genius when it comes to this stuff. Jordan, what is
Jordan Love?
Jordan Lewis. He called you a genius when it's about breaking stuff down and knowing what's coming. Where does that come from? What's the work that you put in to study the game and know the game and not just rely on, obviously, the athletic ability?
I feel like my offensive side helped me understand, offensive concepts and offensive plays, and, I've been using that to my advantage, being able to break on certain things, knowing where the ball is going. I feel like that helped me a lot, and then coming into the NFL, just taking that and taking the stuff Al taught me, putting it together, and to create turnovers.
They were
last one here, guys.
The same thing with you talking about your football IQ. People say that about Micah too. How important is it when you have two young pillars on the defense who both see the game the way you and Micah do? How does that help the rest of the defense, and how much pride do you take in that?
It helps the defense a lot because, he's got the guys up front, and, I got the guys in the back end, and it's a team effort. So, you got this person on the front line, this guy in the back line, and we got Kendricks in the middle who's really, really smart, knows the defense like the back of his hand. So, I feel like we're going to have a really good defense this year. Zim is a genius.
This segment was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
We're going to wrap things up here on Inside Cowboys Training Camp presented by Ford. Nicole Hutchison alongside Nick Harris. Now, the veteran linebackers have certainly started to turn some heads here in training camp. And we've talked about Eric Kendricks, right? Haven't talked much about Damone Clark, a guy who really struggled with his instincts as far as the run game last year in 2023, but still led the team with combined tackles, 109. But you're seeing him be more decisive in his decisions. What are you liking so far from the first couple of days in pads from Damone?
Yeah, you talk about maybe struggles or indecisiveness last year. It's because so much was on his plate after Leighton Vander Esch went down. You look at that linebacker room and how they finished the season. He was the only healthy body there in that final game against Green Bay. Yes, you applaud the effort that Marquise Bell was able to do, but he's a safety at the end of the day. So now for Damone Clark, all those responsibilities, he's allowed to be a little bit more free now. He's allowed to be Damone Clark again, whereas he was being asked to be multiple roles last season. So him being able to hone into his role going into year 3, we're talking about him being a veteran. Yeah. That's a big step for him. And so I think having a mentor like Eric Kendricks, having some running mates like DeMarvion Overshone and Maris Luafau, it's going to really benefit number 18 as time goes on.
I was going to ask you, how much have you seen the effect of Eric Kendricks so far within this linebacker room?
Yeah, it's huge. He's the bridge between Mike Zimmer and the philosophy that he's bringing from a defensive perspective and the personnel that's on the field. He's going to be that bridge to be able to communicate that on the field. He's going to wear the green dot this season and communicate everything up front, behind, in that linebacking core. But for Damone Clark specifically, having that type of mentor for him to be able to kind of take over his reins whenever Eric Kendricks departs Dallas in the season's coming, that'll be really big for him to have that.
One more day of practice until the blue and white practice, right, where things are probably going to get a little bit more interesting. But we'll be back here tomorrow with a day 4 of pad practice. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.